of Sleep and Relax ASMR. Today we'll be learning about the Dodge City War, as well as the Long Branch Saloon. This is the second edition of Let's Read Wikipedia, and like I said in the previous edition of the series, I basically just go to Wikipedia and I find someone or some event that pops up and we explore it together. For some of you, it'll be really interesting, and for some of you, it'll be so boring you'll fall asleep or just take a nap or whatever, and either way, both work. So, I'm excited to try the series again, and hopefully you guys enjoy. So, let's get into it. The Dodge City War was a bloodless conflict that took place between Luke Short and the Dodge City mayor, who tried to force Short to close the Long Branch Saloon and leave town. Luke called on several long-term friends, including Wyatt Earp and others who supported him during his confrontation from April 28th to June 7th, 1883. The event is best remembered because it produced one of the most iconic photos of Western gamblers and gunfighters who played roles in the history of the Wild West. First section is titled Luke Short and the Long Branch Saloon. Luke Short arrived in Dodge City during April 1881. William H. Harris, whom Short had met in Tombstone a few months earlier, gave Luke a job as a faro dealer at the Long Branch Saloon in Dodge City, Kansas. The saloon was owned by Harris and his partner Jock Beeson. On February 6, 1883, Jock Beeson sold his interest in Long Branch to Short. The month after Short and Harris formed their partnership, Harris was nominated to run for Dodge City mayor. On March 19, 1883, a Law and Order group nominated Lawrence E. Deeger to run against Harris. Deeger defeated Harris by a vote of 214 to 143 on April 3rd. The citizens also elected all 5 of the city council candidates running with Deeger. On April 23rd, the Dodge City Council passed 2 ordinances that were immediately approved by Mayor Deeger. Ordinance number 70 was for the suppression of vice and immorality within the city of Dodge City, while Ordinance number 71 was used to define and punish vagrancy. Both of these ordinances were aimed at the Long Branch Saloon. On April 28, 1883, 3 prostitutes employed at the Long Branch were arrested by City Marshal Jack Bridges and policeman Louis C. Hartman. Soon afterward, Short and Hartman exchanged gunfire. Neither man was hurt. Short was quickly arrested and released on a $2,000 bond. His preliminary examination was set for May 2nd. Luke Short forced out of Dodge. This is the second section of this Wikipedia page. On April 30th, Luke Short was again arrested, along with 5 other gamblers, and placed in jail. The following day, Short and the 5 others were escorted to the train depot and given their choice of east or westbound trains. Short went east to Kansas City, Missouri, where he looked up Charles E. Bassett and the Marble Hall Saloon. Bassett and Luke had a lot in common, not the least of which was that they both, at different times, owned an interest in the Long Branch Saloon. Bassett had served as the first sheriff of Ford County, as well as city marshal of Dodge City. Both Wyatt Earp and Bat Masterson had, at various times, served under Bassett as deputies. Together, Short and Bassett, along with William F. Petelin, began laying the groundwork Dodge City, along with several gunfighters on May 31st. Short, Earp, and Petellin met in Kinsley, Kansas on June 3rd, 1883, and took the afternoon train to Dodge City. Mayor Deeger issued a proclamation the following day ordering the closing of all gambling places in Dodge City. Dodge City Peace Commission. Mayor Deeger's action came during the cattle season and promised ruin for the Cowtown seasonal boom. So it was that economics, rather than bloodshed, resolved the Dodge City War. Additional pressure to resolve the issue had come from Governor Click, as well as the Santa Fe Railroad, which did considerable business in Dodge. The gambling halls, dance halls, and the saloons were then ordered reopened, including the Long Branch. On June 9th, both sides met in a dance hall that opened that night and resolved their differences. The following day, June 10th, 1883, 8 men gathered and posed for what has become one of the most reproduced Wild West history photos. The group was immediately dubbed the Dodge City Peace Commission. The 8 men in the historic photo were William H. Harris, Luke Short, Pat Masterson, William F. Petellin, Charles E. Bassett, Wyatt Earp, Michael Francis McLean, and Cornelius Neil Brown. Immediately after the photo was taken, Pat Masterson and Wyatt Earp departed on a westbound train for Colorado. The Long Branch Saloon had reopened and the bloodless Dodge City War had ended. But Luke Short had decided the time had come to leave Dodge on his own terms. On November 19th, 1883, Short and Harris sold the Long Branch to Roy Drake and Frank Warren. Short then moved to San Antonio for a brief time before deciding to relocate in Fort Worth. So that's the end of the Dodge City War Wikipedia page. Since that one was a little short, it's why, or because it's short, I decided to also include the Wikipedia page for the Long Branch Saloon, since of course it's such an important part of the Dodge City War story, let's say. So now I'll start reading the Wikipedia page for the Long Branch Saloon. The Long Branch Saloon was a well-known saloon in Dodge City, Kansas, from about 1874 to 1885. It had numerous owners, most notably Chalk Beeson and gunfighter Luke Short. The establishment provided gambling and live entertainment, including Beeson's 5-person orchestra. It was the scene of several altercations, shootouts, gunfights, and standoffs, often associated with cattle towns in the American Wild West, the most famous of which was the 1879 Long Branch Saloon gunfight. Origins. The saloon was built as a result of a wager between cowboys and soldiers playing ball. Bets were placed, and if the cowboys beat the soldiers agreed to provide building materials to construct a saloon. Gonna take a sip of water. It's a little dry today. built. Entertainment. The saloon soon became the most popular and refined saloon in Dodge City. Beeson was a talented musician and led a 5-piece orchestra that played nightly. The Long Branch Saloon served milk, tea, lemonade, sarsaparilla, all types of alcohol, including champagne and beer. Anheuser-Busch was the original beer served at the Long Branch. Drinks were kept cold in the winter from ice that came over from the river. In the summer, ice was shipped by train from the mountains of Colorado. Gambling ranged from a game of 5-cent chuck-a-luck to $1,000 poker pots. Notable patrons. The saloon hosted many Old West characters, including Clay Allison, Wyatt Earp, Doc Holliday, Loving, Dave Mather, Town Marshal Charlie Bassett, and brothers Pat, Ed, and James Masterson. Site of conflict. The saloon was the site of a gunfight on April 5th, 1879, between gamblers Loving and Levi Richardson, who frequented it. Loving accused Richardson of making disrespectful advances toward his wife, and the two got into an argument that turned into a gunfight across a table. Loving was grazed on the hand by one bullet, and Richardson was shot 3 times and died. Town Marshal Bassett arrested Loving, but on April 7th, a coroner's inquest ruled that Loving had acted in self-defense, and he was released without charges. Professional gambler and gunfighter Short's purchase of a partial interest in the saloon in 1883 was credited as one of the causes of the bloodless Dodge City War. In popular culture, a saloon using the same name was featured in almost every episode of the longest-running television drama, Gunsmoke. A new establishment named the Long Branch Saloon, largely based on Gunsmoke, was built as part of the modern non-profit Boot Hill Museum Entertainment and Exhibit Theme Park in Dodge City. The exterior was modeled on period photographs of the original building, while the interior is consistent with period saloons of the era. It is furnished with an 1881 bar and 2 golden eagles on top of the back bar that were once owned by Beeson. The modern saloon hosts the Long Branch Variety Show, the longest-running seasonal show in the country. And I'm checking my notes here, and it seems like that is the last section of the Long Branch Saloon Wikipedia page. So that means this episode is coming to an end. If you guys are liking the series, if you want me to read a specific Wikipedia page for next time, you can send suggestions to hello@sleepandrelaxasmr.com. And I suggest you check out our website, sleepandrelax nbsp.asmr.com. That's it for this episode. Thanks as always for listening.